December 28th, 1906. I hardly know where to begin writing my impressions of Anushka's farm and the trip. It was such a whirlwind. I have not yet caught my breath nor collected my thoughts into any sort of coherent line. I did not realize how far Virginia was, nor how many different lands I'd be passing through. I arrived home yesterday, this morning actually, after nearly 10 hours in that bumpy rocking locomotive, and I still feel the ground moving beneath me. As tired as I am, I have to write even a quick entry. There is so much I must record. To the large degree, the trip was nothing like what I expected. The amount of acreage her father owns, how striking that he was able to save enough money from the bookshop to buy such a piece of land. I keep thinking about the grandness of the farm, the distance I could see. Endless ground covered in a white shawl of snow. I felt my eyes stretching, looking for miles ahead of me to the horizon where earth meets sky. I have never looked so far in my life. The house struck me so. It looked raw. Walls and floors of big planks, whitewashed clean, the rail wood furniture, knots and grains left intact, and the row of butter churns, the cast iron range, big enough to feed the boys and all of their friends and hers, her busy parents, but with the work that made them whistle, the warmth of the wood stove in the living room, the walk we took in the woods, the way we scared rabbits from their holes, and partridges too, no, peahens she called them, and all of the beautiful animals, horses, lambs, chickens. I didn't realize the extent of her responsibilities, how much labor is involved in running a farm, and this not even planting season. Every moment is taken up. The feeding, cleaning, grooming, slaughtering, and smoking, shoveling, and I was awed by the muscles in her arms. I have never tasted lamb so fresh next to the herring I brought. The chops seemed to be practically walking. The potato pancakes her mother made, the onions her father jarred, and the bread and honey. Goodness, I think I've gained 10 pounds in 3 days. On my second afternoon with her, when we had finished her chores, I accompanied her, but was not obliged to work as nearly as hard as her. Anushka took me to a nearby pond that had frozen over. She wouldn't say why. She still had that impish sense of mystery. When we got to the edge, suddenly she cried out, "Watch!" and she ran onto the ice. Right before my eyes, she flopped on her bottom and slid across the entire expanse of the pond, petticoats flying, bloomers exposed to the birds. A shock of cold air caught in my throat, and then I exploded into a great burst of laughter. I couldn't help it. She looked so very silly and daring all at the same time. She ran over the ice back to me, her curls bouncing, her breath coming in heavy white puffs, and she dragged me out onto the pond with her. There was nobody else for miles around. We slipped and fell and skittered around on the frozen water until the day darkened. I have not laughed so much for nearly a year. It felt as if we had not skipped a single day in our togetherness, but rather we picked up right where we had left off with each other. But time is changing and pulling us deeper into life without having each other to turn to. I felt like she needed me, but I couldn't pinpoint how or why. It was on the last day when I met her friends, Ida and Randall, and I saw Anushka's relation to them, that I understood how she holds her darker feelings inside now, how she guards them from me almost, in her letters. And before we met them, Anushka didn't tell me that her friends' advanced ages. Ida is 27, and Randall's a man of 30, which is nearly Mr. Soper's age. It was clear how she could love both of these people. Our conversation with them ranged far and wide. They were both so full of knowledge about the natural world, the way that they named trees and celestial bodies, Randall's reading of the clouds, Ida's firm way with the animals, and they were both so easy with themselves and each other. Randall's power and skill, his long, sensitive face, and his thick blonde hair, very alluring. I understand now how Anushka could have a terrible mash on him. Ida's quick smile and the deep way she listens when one speaks has great charm as well. Their backgrounds are so different. Randall from wealthy Protestant stock, and Ida from a second-generational transplant of Lutheran Germany, and Anushka, a New York Russian Jew. But it was a sweet camaraderie. Now, camaraderie is one of your vocabulary words. Go back and look and see what you guessed it was. See what you think it means here in context, and then double-check it with a dictionary or online. Yet, here is difficulty. Those two friends of hers are in love with each other. It is clear how impossible it's been for Anushka to state her feelings, to choose, as I'd been urging her. Randall is kind to her. Ida too wonderful to lose, but they have chosen each other, and the pain Anushka must feel, my poor friend, the tear of her heart. I do hope Anushka finds another beau, someone who can see how very darling she is.